He came to us in pretty poor condition. As the story goes, when you score a horse, you score them on a scale of 1 to 9 as far as body condition. And he was like a 1.5, I believe. So he was quite thin, very senior. Two pigs by the name of Vincent Van Gogh and Pablo Picasso. And they are still residents here with us and they're available for adoption. But those two guys were loose in a neighborhood and it was the coldest week of the year. And Edith is just immediately smitten with Kathy and, lovely little mare and she gets along great with everybody, but you could see the sparkles in her eyes. She was just so excited. And Kathy felt the same way. I think it was about 5 minutes and Kathy said, "Yep, this is the one. I'm going to take her home."
Welcome back to Tales of Fluff. I'm AJ.
And I'm Emily. We hope you're all doing well, and we're really excited for today's episode. We are going back into the world of rescue, but not just any rescue.
That's right, a rescue who dedicated their lives to helping hooved animals. Now, this conversation was such a meaningful one to us because it opened our eyes to a side of rescue work that doesn't always get talked about.
Exactly. When people think of rescue, they often imagine dogs or cats. But hoofed animals need just as much love and care. And today's guest gives us a deep look into that world.
From horses and pigs to goats and cattle, these animals often come from situations of neglect or misunderstanding. And the people who care for them put an incredible amount of dedication to help these animals learn to love and trust again.
We had the chance to chat with Gretchen, a team member from the Hooved Animal Humane Society, an organization that's been around for decades and continues to be a place of healing and hope for so many animals.
She walks us through how she got involved, the daily realities of caring for large animals, the challenges, the heartwarming wins, and even a few stories that will stay with you long after this episode ends.
So, with that being said, let's dive right in. We started by asking her when the rescue got started and what originally inspired her to join the rescue.
The Hooved Animal Humane Society was founded in 1971 by a group of individuals that just were really passionate about animal welfare and particularly that of hooved animals. And so I just actually got involved as of January of this year. And it really was kind of just my overall love of horses. I am also a PATH certified therapeutic riding instructor. And I think there is kind of an increasing awareness for just equine welfare throughout the industry. Obviously, it's a $1 billion industry. Horses are used a ton as well as other animals for, goat yoga, just assisted learning practices. And so the welfare piece for these animals is really becoming a conversational piece at the forefront of what we do.
The rescue goes all the way back to 1971. Decades of people showing up for these animals and giving them the second chances they deserve.
And even though her own journey with the rescue just started, you can already hear how passionate she is. The way she talked about animal welfare becoming such an important conversation, it shows she really tuned into what these animals face.
Exactly. And I like how she pointed out that this is a $1 billion industry with horses and other hooved animals being used in so many different ways. So educating people about their care isn't just helpful, it's necessary.
100%. And it really sets the stage for everything else we talk about today.
So next, we wanted to know her very first rescue experience after joining the organization.
So I'm not involved in the direct rescue. I'm more on the operational side, but I do think, kind of a unique experience. At the end of January, we assisted in a rescue of two pigs by the name of Vincent Van Gogh and Pablo Picasso, and they are still residents here with us and they're available for adoption. But those two guys were loose in a neighborhood and it was the coldest week of the year. And so our awesome animal investigations manager was on the rescue for that with a couple of our other staff members. And when the pigs came, one of them had actually survived an animal attack. And so he was missing part of his ear and was prescribed penicillin to take, every day. He had to have a shot of penicillin until he was healed and until he was all clear for infection. So it was actually pretty interesting. I was in the, office answering emails and talking to donors and sending out acknowledgement letters. And then I'd have to pull on my boots and go into the barn and wrangle this pig with some of the girls and try to give him his penicillin shot. It was definitely a full team task. And he's doing really well now. And he's the friendliest little guy. So that was kind of cool. It was a unique experience. I didn't have a ton of experience with pigs prior to starting, but I've enjoyed it very much. And it was cool to see him get better.
The pigs named Vincent van Gogh and Pablo Picasso, those are amazing names. And it's wild to think they were just roaming around a neighborhood, especially with one of them surviving an animal attack.
I know, right? And on top of that, they were out there in those freezing temperatures. And it's truly incredible that they still made it to safety thanks to the Hooved Animal Humane Society.
Absolutely. Rescue work really is incredible. Now those pigs are getting the care they need and deserve, and that's such a happy ending.
Yes, and I love that moment she shared about switching from donor emails to pulling on her boots to help give penicillin shots.
Seriously, it really shows how even though she's on the operations side, everyone jumps in when an animal needs help. That kind of teamwork says a lot about the passion behind the rescue.
And seeing that pig heal and becoming friendly, I can only imagine that those are the moments that keep people going in rescue work. That's the payoff for all the long days.
Speaking of long days and making sure a pig gets its medicine on time, we had to know more about what the typical day of care looks like at the rescue.
So every day is unique. And again, I'm more so on the office side. So I spend a lot of my time handling a lot of the nonprofit administration. But there are days that we are short staffed or we are low on volunteers. And so I have the ability to run out and assist our outdoor animal care team. And those days really are different. Some days we've got horses that need baths in the summer where they have to have their coats shaved if it's too hot and their coats get too thick for whatever medical reason. Some days it's just moving horses into different pastures, but the chores really remain the same. Stalls have to be cleaned, water buckets have to be scrubbed and filled, hay nets have to be filled. Truly, the forefront of animal care is really just making sure that the areas are hygienic and the animals have appropriate food, water, and shelter.
So even though Gretchen is mostly the one behind the scenes, she doesn't hesitate to jump in and help with the animals when she's needed. And I think that's such an important point because even if you're in the office most of the time, there are still moments where you have to step in and care for the animals. It really shows the teamwork behind making sure every animal gets exactly what they need.
Yeah, definitely. And the chores themselves, they don't change much, even if the day does. The bottom line is making sure every animal has food, clean water, and a clean space.
And the details she shared about shaving horses' coats in the summer to keep the horses comfortable, I honestly didn't even know horses sometimes needed to be shaved. So that was interesting.
Same here. And it's truly amazing how much attention goes into not just the basics, but the overall comfort of the animals too.
Exactly. And that leads us into our next question. Since Hooved Animal Humane Society cares for horses, pigs, and so many other hooved animals, we wanted to know how they build a trust with animals who may have came from abuse or neglect.
I would say that the best way to go about that, especially with larger hoofed animals, is just slowly and with intention, right? So they're prey animals and they're fight or flight animals. And it can take time and it really is just dependent on the horse and kind of what they've experienced and what they know as well. Every horse is different and some horses are really quick to bond, come in to trust you, and others just take some time. And I think that developing a really consistent care routine for not only horses, but all of the hoofed animals that we have is a big help. Once they know that the food that's coming towards them and that the hands are coming towards them gentle and consistent and that their basic needs are met, I think that's when we start to see a really cool change.
Let's talk about that line she said, slowly and with intention. That really stood out. It's such a simple but powerful way to describe working with animals who come in scared or unsure.
Absolutely. When you think about the size of some of these animals, it makes total sense why patience matters so much. Plus, Remembering that horses are prey animals with strong fight or flight instincts gives so much context to how they react.
Right. And she made it clear that having a steady routine and calm, predictable interactions is what helps these animals feel safe again.
And I appreciated how she mentioned that every horse has its own pace. Some warm up quickly, some need a lot more time, and that's real respect. But not everyone knows how to give that kind of respect, especially when people get animals without fully understanding their needs.
Exactly. So that naturally led us into our next question. What does Gretchen wish more people understood about caring for hoofed animals?
I think in the same way that we consider dogs and cats part of our forever family, we should also consider hoofed animals to be a part of our forever family. It's a commitment for the duration and lifespan of that animal, right? So horses can live up to, 35, sometimes even 40 years, and pigs can have a longer lifespan as well as cattle. And so when we bring these animals into our care, it really should be for as long as their life is. A lot of the times you get people that say, "Oh, I'd love to have a pony," and they have a pony for a few years, and then maybe their kids outgrow the pony, and then maybe that pony ends up in a bad spot. So we like to just say, if you're going to commit to one of these guys, that it should be for the rest of their life.
Treating them like forever family. That really is how every pet owner should think, no matter what species they have.
Exactly. And when you consider the lifespan of some of these animals, it's a huge responsibility. Horses can live 30, even 40 years. That's decades of care.
And like she mentioned, a lot of people don't think that far ahead. You hear stories about kids wanting a pony, but then the child grows up and suddenly the pony isn't wanted anymore. That's not fair to the animal. They bond with their people just like any other pet.
Absolutely. So, if you're considering of getting any kind of animal, especially a long-lived one, you really need to think about where you'll be years down the road and whether you can be there for them for their whole life. Like Gretchen said, if you're going to commit to one of these guys, it should be for the rest of their life.
That's such a great way to put it. And maybe someone listening is thinking about getting a horse someday, or it might even be a long term dream. If that's you, our next question is definitely one to pay attention to because we asked Gretchen what advice she'd give to someone who is considering bringing a horse into their life.
I would say the first thing that you should do is start by taking lessons. Take riding lessons, take groundwork lessons, take horse handling and horsemanship lessons, and just learn as much as you can. Spend some time volunteering with different organizations that are close to you or available to you, and try to, immerse yourself in some of that continuing education that's available. And then maybe even consider share boarding, taking on like a partial lease of a horse first, and always, always, always work with professionals. Have a trainer and an instructor in your corner, as well as a really solid team of care providers, a veterinarian, a farrier, etc.
I really liked how she broke it down. Lessons, groundwork, horsemanship, learning first and not rushing into ownership is such solid advice.
And her reminder to volunteer or try shareboarding before buying a horse was absolutely smart. It gives you real experience so you know exactly what to expect.
Exactly. Her advice really sets people up for success by encouraging preparation instead of impulse. And after talking about all the responsibility that goes into horse ownership, we moved on to one of our favorite questions: what she feels is the best part of her work.
I really enjoy seeing them come around. It's can be so tough to see any of the animals come in and be in poor condition or mistrustful of their human handlers. So I think it's really unique and special to see them turn around and come into their own personalities and really enjoy being with the folks here, our staff, our volunteers. And then obviously the next best part is seeing them be reunited with a forever home and to just go into the hands of somebody who's going to love them and give them the care that they deserve.
Hearing her talk about watching animals go from fearful to curious was beautiful.
And then seeing them finally go to their forever homes, it really is like watching a whole story come full circle.
Definitely. I can totally understand why that would be such a highlight of her work. And since we know from past episodes that rescues are full of incredible stories of animals beating the odds and finding their forever families, we wanted to know if Gretchen had any rescue stories she'll never forget.
So I wasn't here for this specific intake. This was before my time, but this horse that I'm thinking of is actually still here. So his name is Gabriel, and Gabriel came to Haas around the age of 33. And I can't, that's maybe not an exact age, but he's in his early mid 30s. And he came to us in pretty poor condition. As the story goes, when you score a horse, you score them on a scale of 1 to 9 as far as body condition, and he was like a 1.5, I believe. So he was quite thin, very senior. So immediately you think, oh man, I don't know if this horse has a fighting chance. We'll see what can be done. And I guess to compound on that, long after he had come to Haas, he was also diagnosed with Potomac horse fever, which can be pretty serious and pretty severe. So Gabriel, we call him Gabe, at this late age in life, poor body condition. Now he's really ill. He is a fighter. He went on to heal from the Potomac horse fever that he was experiencing and has gained a lot of weight. He's been really, really happy. And you would never guess that he's now, I think, 35. He's closer to those mid 30s. And he runs around his pasture and kicks his heels up. Is just a really happy guy. So I think that story in particular sticks with me because, a lot of the times you see an animal that has really experienced distress and a hard way of life, and you think, man, I don't know if he's going to make it, but he made it and he has a zest for life that is unlike a lot. It's just beautiful to withhold.
Gabriel, what an incredible turnaround to come in at a 1.5 on a scale of 9 and now be a thriving 35-year-old horse. It's no wonder that was an unforgettable rescue.
Seriously, it was amazing to hear. It really shows how some animals are just true fighters, and Gabriel was nothing short of a fighter.
He is absolutely a fighter. And after hearing such a touching story with such an inspiring ending, we shifted the conversation to something a little lighter. We wanted to know what's one of the funniest things an animal has ever done at the rescue.
That's a tough question because there are a lot of daily funnies that kind of come and go, and obviously they all have their own personalities. I do think we have one horse in particular. His name is Mosey, and Mosey is fully blind and has been at Haas for many, many years. I actually used to volunteer as a high school student, and Mosey was here then too. So he's lived most of his life here because of his condition with being blind. So obviously, he has a set paddock and a set friend, and that's obviously for his own safety. But he has the most personality, and he's so curious and so joyful. And so maybe it's not even really funny, but he's just fascinating to watch because he has no qualms about interacting with his environment or any volunteer or staff member that walks up to him. He, wants to have scratches and get to know them. So it's always fun to see.
Mosey, a fully blind horse with so much personality. He sounds absolutely adorable. And I liked how she mentioned that he has a set paddock and a companion to keep him safe, but he still chooses to interact with everyone. Animals are just so pure.
Exactly. The way he still trusts people shows how incredible the care is there. He knows he's safe and loved. And I also like that the funny moments you described weren't jokes. They were moments of joy and curiosity.
Her answer was great, and hearing about all these animals with different needs and personalities made us want to know more about how the rescue places them into the right homes. So we asked about their adoption process and how they match adopters with the perfect fit.
So we typically start with a phone call. Our adoptions manager will call them up and kind of get an idea for their experience and what they're looking for, if they're looking for a rideable horse or a pasture pal. And then from there, she will kind of discuss the different options that we have available as far as horses go or different pasture pals if they're looking for a pig or a goat and kind of review what we have here at the time. We also then go to a meet and greet. So they come and they say, okay, maybe I'm interested in these 4 animals, and they'll do a quick, you know, meet and greet with each of those guys. And then maybe they narrow it down to 1 or 2. And from there, they're welcome to finalize the application process. We ask for a vet letter of recommendation, as well as photos and videos of where they'll be keeping the animal. So we have pretty strict requirements as far as safe fencing and appropriate shelter, clean water sources. And from there, if it's a good fit and the vet clears them, then we make it happen and we connect those adopters to their new buddy.
I liked how structured the process is, starting with the first phone call to learn what the adopter is looking for, and then moving into the meet and greets to help make sure the animal is a genuine fit for the family.
Yeah. And the requirements they have, like vet letters and photos or videos of where the animal will live, really shows how seriously they take each placement.
And since their process is so organized and thoughtful, we wanted to know if she's ever witnessed a truly memorable, perfect match moment between an adopter and an animal.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I love this question. So the one that I had the most hands-on experience with was between a woman named Kathy and then a mare that we had named Edith. And Kathy's given me permission to share their story a little bit. So Kathy came to us. She had a horse, well, 2 horses rather. She had one named Chance, and then Chance was actually with his mom for most of his life. And so unfortunately, Chance's mom had to be humanely euthanized. She old age and wasn't doing well. And so Chance was alone and kind of looking for a buddy. So Kathy came to the rescue and we're chatting, and she's looking for kind of a specific horse that would be a good fit for Chance. And we're looking around and she says, "Oh, Edith's pretty interesting. Let's bring her out and let's see what we think." So we walk her into the indoor, and Kathy's kind of introducing herself to Edith, and Edith is just immediately smitten with Kathy. And lovely little mare, and she gets along great with everybody, but you could see the sparkles in her eyes. She was just so excited. And Kathy felt the same way. I think it was about 5 minutes, and Kathy said, "Yep, this is the one. I'm going to take her home." So we consider them definitely a perfect match, and she's still doing really well to this day.
Kathy and Edith, what a match.
Seriously, that instant connection between them, with Edith's eyes lighting up and Kathy knowing within minutes, it was such a special moment.
And the fact that she was searching for a companion for Chance after he lost his mom made the whole thing even sweeter.
Truly a perfect match. And hearing that they are still doing great just tied the whole story together beautifully. And while Hooved Animal Humane Society is clearly amazing at caring for animals and helping them find homes they deserve, they also put a big focus on educating the public about hooved animal welfare.
So we wanted to know what has been her proudest success in helping people learn more about caring for these type of animals.
I have to say, I think for me personally, my most proud achievement with the rescue has just been the volunteer program that we've established. We have a lot of individuals that come in that are new to horses or just love horses but have no clue, or new to, hoofed animals and farm animals in general, and have always been drawn to them but don't have the access or don't have the education in order to become an owner or take lessons. And that's really where we like to kind of give people the power to get involved. So with our volunteer program, even if they know nothing, they come in and we get them kind of comfortable with the basics and sort of educate them as they go. And we've had some volunteers that have been here for years, and they are able to help us with some things, exercising the horses, walking them around if they need a little bit of extra hand walking done, and just assisting with the day to day. So I think it's a cool way to get involved. And then we also offer free continuing education once a month for our volunteers. So not only are they getting that hands on experience, but then they also get the contact with an equine professional that comes in to do some educational topic as well.
Her pride in the volunteer program really stood out, giving people access to horses when they've never had the chance before. That's huge.
And the monthly education sessions, that's how you build confident, capable volunteers.
And over time, those volunteers get to take on bigger roles, like exercising horses. How fun and interesting that experience must be.
For sure. Now, to wrap things up, we asked if anyone out there wants to work with animals the way Gretchen does. What would be her advice to them?
I would say start by contacting your local equine rescue, hooved animal rescue, dog and cat rescue, and start assisting as a volunteer. The work is never done, and there will forever be another animal in need and more to do on a farm or in a kennel, no matter where it is. So start as a volunteer and then just really get involved and see how all you can slot in. And maybe it turns into a fantastic career, and maybe you start a rescue of your own one day.
Her advice to start by volunteering makes so much sense. Anyone can take that first step, and it can open the door to something bigger.
Exactly. There's always work to be done at a rescue, and just showing up makes a huge difference. Even if you can't open your own rescue or do everything you'd like to do right now.
And who knows, like she said, volunteering could lead to a career or even inspire someone to start a rescue of their own one day.
You never know where it might lead, but one thing is certain, even volunteering changes animals' lives.
Absolutely. And a big thank you to Gretchen for giving us an inside look at the Hooved Animal Humane Society and for helping animals in need every single day. From pigs named after painters to a senior horse who beat the odds, today reminded us that every hoofbeat carries a story, and trust is built through compassion, patience, and showing up day after day.
And we truly appreciate everyone's likes, comments, and shares. It means the world to us and helps us to continue highlighting the incredible people who dedicated their lives to helping animals. But what we'll ask from you today is simple. Take a moment to honor your pets. Give them some extra cuddles from us.
Until next time, remember, getting a pet means committing to them for their whole life, even if that means decades.